Hi guys, today I wanted to do a review on the Punk Hazard arc in One Piece. So if you didn't know already, I just finished the Punk Hazard arc and I've just started the Dressrosa arc now. So before I start talking about my thoughts regarding the Punk Hazard arc, I just want to say that I'm not the best reviewer really, but I do have an opinion. I do have quite a lot of good things to say, as well as a couple of criticisms that I'd like to say about this arc. But I'm not like a really deep, analytical type of reviewer. So if you're expecting that from me, no, I'm not that type of reviewer. I'm not like that when I react. But I mean, to each their own. But I do have an opinion. I do have a lot of good stuff to say about this arc. Definitely more good than bad, because I think Punk Hazard is definitely one of the best arcs in One Piece, if not in the top 3 or 4. It's hard because there are a lot of really good One Piece arcs and some arcs that I also found very mediocre. Or poor. But like when it comes to Punk Hazard, there were just so many intense, amazing scenes. There were a lot of intense, shocking moments as well. Stuff that I didn't see coming, but there were a few things that I did predict correctly. Like for example, Joker being Doflamingo. I predicted that correctly. And then it was a really good arc overall. But before I get on to deeper into my thoughts about particular scenes and stuff, I just want to like summarize what actually happened in Punk Hazard. So firstly, the Straw Hat Pirates were heading towards Punk Hazard. So that was their next destination. They wanted to head towards Punk Hazard because they received a call of a marine, if I remember correctly, getting killed. So that piqued Luffy's interest. Few of the other Straw Hat Pirates were not really that excited, but nonetheless Luffy, Robin, Zoro and Usopp were the first ones to enter Punk Hazard. They entered the fiery part of the island, where there was a lot of flames everywhere and everything looked pretty much destroyed. Meanwhile, the Marines were also heading towards Punk Hazard after receiving the same distress call. But when they entered the snowy part of the island. So basically Punk Hazard is split into the fiery part and the snowy part of the island because of the huge fight between Akainu and Aokiji. But that's like stated a little bit later on. But firstly, Luffy, Robin, Zoro and Usopp, they entered the fiery part of the island and they encountered a really big red dragon. It was the first time that we actually saw a dragon, so that was like the first shocking thing, to see dragons in One Piece, because it's a mythological creature. But like then they found a pair of legs and that was quite bizarre. What I will say is that the beginning part of this arc I thought was average at best. Like it wasn't like the best thing ever. It wasn't like the most exciting thing ever when this arc started. But I mean it was pretty interesting, but like I wasn't sure where it was going with the Punk Hazard arc right at the beginning. That being said, so after that, the Marines, when Smoker and the G5 Marines entered the snowy part of the island, they met Law, and we found out that Law is actually a warlord now. He's a Shichibukai now, and I was like, what? He is a Shichibukai now? What is he up to? I knew he had an external motive, but I didn't know what. Like, why the hell would you want to work for the world government scumbags? Like, you were part of the worst generation, so why now are you a Shichibukai? So he must have had an external motive, and I was correct in saying that, but I didn't know what exactly. But I was thinking that he really wanted something, and I was correct. He wanted to destroy the SAD factory, and blackmail Doflamingo. He also wants to kill Kaido, so that's another thing. So it was really nice that we got to see a lot of Law in this arc. Not only is he like my favorite character, as you most of you guys know, he is my favorite character in One Piece. Not just that, but because we got to see just a bit more about what kind of character he is, and just a tiny bit of backstory as well. Because Doflamingo said that he raised Law, so they have like a history, but it's not like a good history from what I can tell really from this arc. So there's just so many intense moments. So after when they entered Snowpar, the island, later on the Striped Pirates did find out that Caesar is not actually a good guy. He started off as coming off as a good guy, but I knew something was really dodgy about this guy, but I just couldn't quite pinpoint what. Nonetheless, some of the Striped Pirates were imprisoned, and they were imprisoned with Kinnaman's head, if I remember correctly. And Nami, uh, Sanji. I don't think Frankie was Frankie in it? Okay, it was a really long time ago, but they were basically, they met Kinnaman, but it was his head, and he hated pirates. Um, Meanwhile, Luffy and the ones that were in the fiery part of the island, they met Kinnaman's lower half. So it's very bizarre what Law's ability can do. And that's another thing. Law's ability is just so versatile. I was just like, wow. I was just in awe and just shocked at how versatile and how powerful Law is. Like, we saw a bit in Sabaody arc what he can do, but in this arc I was just like, wow. He managed to defeat Vergo. And Vergo, if we remember, he completely covered himself in armament haki, and that was the very first time that we got to see like proper potential of what hacking can do. But then he still got cut, so I was like, what? Huh? So Law presumably is more powerful than Vergo. So that's another thing. There were just so many amazing fight scenes in this arc, and I mean, what I will say is that Marineford is actually still my favourite arc in One Piece, but I will put Punk Hazard in my top 3 or top 4 favourite arcs. It was just really, really good. I do have a few criticisms, but I'm going to say my criticisms right at the end of this review. I'd like to talk about the good points first before I get on to the bad points. So in this, like, the main thing that happened in this arc was the need to save the children from the biscuit room, from taking this toxic candy. So basically Caesar is a scientist who is drugging the children. He wants to create an army of giant children, and what this drug is doing to the children is making them into giants, and it's making them extremely aggressive and very much addicted to the candy. So it's very much a drug basically, and it was very it was just distressing for me to see the children struggle so much. Like, they felt so trapped in the place that they were in, but they were so addicted to the candy. They all just wanted to go home, and then poor Mocha, that poor little girl, had to make the ultimate sacrifice, and this was the scene that actually made me cry. So she basically was prepared to sacrifice herself to save her fellow friends from taking the candy. So basically she had to run away with the candy as far as she could, as much as she could, and she was so determined. Like, I would not blame her if she gave up at one point, because she was just running so much, running for her own safety and for her friends' safety, because her friends, the other children I mean, they were basically chasing after her for the candy, and she had this huge bag of candy with her. So she was running away from that because that was Chopper's order. Chopper was like trying to find a cure to save the children, to to save the children from the poison that was in them, because every candy that they take is basically poisoning their body. So Caesar is an absolutely evil scumbag for doing this to the children, for tricking them into thinking that it's just candy, when actually it's a deadly poison that can kill them within a few years. So that was the very sad thing about this arc, but they actually at the end, Chopper did manage with the G5 Marine medical team as well. They all managed to actually save the children, and they did actually save Mocha in the end. And I was very scared for Mocha. I was very scared for like whether she can be saved. I knew like in One Piece in general, people survive anyway, even if they're like in if they're in the last breath. So, but like still, like she consumed so much candy, so much poison that like, oh, it was so distressing seeing her cough out blood and being in a very bad state. um so so her life was very much at risk. So yeah, Chopper and the medical team, they did manage to stabilize the condition, and she was cured, as well as the other children. So that was the happy ending of this arc. The other thing is Luffy beating the shit out of Caesar for committing this absolute atrocity, as well as destroying Punk Hazard in the first place. So Punk Hazard used to be a very beautiful island, but then Caesar is actually revealed that it wasn't Vegapunk who destroyed the island, it was actually Caesar, because he wanted to experiment with Shinokuni. Shinokuni is like this blobby thing that was basically petrifying everyone. So if you were touching Shinokuni, Shinokuni will petrify you. So some of the Marines got petrified, a lot of other people got petrified, including Brownbeard's crew. Yeah, and like seeing the scene where like Tashigi really wanted her fellow soldiers to survive, but her fellow soldiers prioritized her own life over theirs. It was quite a sad scene, seeing those Marines be that loyal towards Tashigi and Smoker, and Tashigi just crying out that she couldn't even save her own soldiers from getting petrified. Another great thing about this arc is that we saw for the first time pretty much the Straw Hat Pirates working with the Marines, because they realized that they had a common enemy, the common enemy being Caesar. So Caesar is pretty much the main villain of this arc, but then we got to see that Doflamingo is the one that's calling in the shots for Caesar to create the SID, basically this man-made devil fruit. So yeah, he's doing business with Doflamingo, and that's what we find out later on. But like, firstly, like it was really nice that we got to see Smoker and Tashigi, like not for the first time pretty much not being against the Straw Hat Pirates. Like even though obviously they hate the pirates, every pirate regardless, but like because of their circumstances that they were all getting imprisoned at one point, because there was at one point where Straw Hat Pirates, some of the Straw Hat Pirates were imprisoned with Smoke and Tashigi, and all like had their bodies switched up because of law. So like when they were like, because it takes a lot to like want to work together, even though you guys are like in opposing sides. So yeah, it was really nice seeing that Smoke and Tashigi were cooperating with the Straw Hat Pirates to save the children, to rescue the children, and also stop Caesar and Vergo. And damn, Smoker being so revengeful against Vergo, that was awesome to see Smoker and Law working together technically against Vergo. As I said, like this arc has some of the best fight scenes. Like damn man, these fight scenes were just like so intense, and we got to see like some proper blood being shed. I feel like in previous arcs there wasn't enough actual proper violence, well, apart from Marineford, but like this time we actually got to see like proper blood being shed, I feel. Like for example, like much later on, like when Doflamingo was basically slashing Smoker, and Smoker was like covered in blood. But before then, like Smoker, like he knew, like inwards he knew that he had no chance against Vergo. Vergo was seen as like an extremely powerful person. So another shocking thing is the fact the reason why Smoker wanted to fight Vergo was because Vergo was actually a traitor to the Marines. He was actually a double agent this whole time. He was actually working for Doflamingo instead of the Marines. So he actually covered up the fact that the children were all kidnapped, because there were reports to the Marines that there were missing children, but they were covered up somehow. So the fact that he covered up that, and that's why the children were never found and taken home. Yeah, Smoker was just absolutely disgusted by this traitorous act, because they all looked up to him. So like they knew him for like such a long time. So then like when finding out that he was actually not on their side really, it broke Smoker, and he didn't want the G5 Marines to find that out as well, because he knew that it would break their hearts. So he wanted to finish off Vergo, even though his haki was not as powerful as Vergo's. Vergo's haki was extremely powerful. The fact that he was able to block Smoker's attacks, and he almost actually killed Smoker, almost. But he was actually saved by Law. Another thing, it was very sad that Vergo was like, he basically tortured Law at one point, and it was really hard to see that, because you know he's my favorite character. I really did not like seeing Vergo torture Law like that. So I feel like in these arcs it gets more serious, it gets more intense as I go on. Seeing Law actually come back up from almost getting killed. Thankfully Smoker came in just on time before Vergo could kill Law, and then same Law coming back up before Smoker can be killed by Vergo. It was nice to see that Law and Smoker working together to defeat Vergo, and then Law literally cutting Vergo in half. That was just, oh my god, that was so cool. That was so sick of a scene. Like there's just not just that, but like Zoro doing that to Monet as well. Literally, Zoro cut Monet right in half. Another great fight scene: Zoro and Tashigi versus Monet. Monet is basically one of Caesar's assistants. So she was basically helping Caesar drug the children. She was acting like this nanny for the children, and then like, oh, it's just like I feel so heartbroken for the children. Like they trusted this woman, this nanny figure, and they trusted Caesar. But then like Mocha was just absolutely heartbroken when she found out that Monet was actually a really bad person, as well as Caesar. So Zoro and Tashigi kinda worked together against Monet. Tashigi had a very hard time trying to defeat Monet, because Monet's ability is just like, wow. She basically can manipulate snow, and she is just very versatile with the way she manipulates snow. So she can like have these really sharp teeth. Like it reminded me of Arlong's teeth, shark teeth. And like she actually bit Tashigi on the shoulder, and she was biting her really badly. Like she was absolutely savage the way she was going at Tashigi, and Tashigi did actually hold her own. She was able to block at least most of Monet's attacks, but then when she got bitten so badly on the shoulder, I really wish that Zoro had intervened before that point. I know he was just trying to teach Tashigi a lesson to not be so prideful and just allow Zoro to help her out, but she was like, no, I'm doing this alone, I'm defeating her alone. So because of that, because they're on opposing sides, she's a marine and he's a pirate, so but like still, like Zoro is just a lot more powerful than you. It was really nice though that we saw Tashigi in action though, because in previous arcs we barely saw what she could actually do. um yeah, I mean, it wasn't, still not that much that we saw, but we did at least get an idea that she can actually do haki. She's really fast as well. I mean, to some extent. She was able to like dodge some of Monet's attacks, but like the bite really wounded her. And then after Tashigi got bit on the shoulder by Monet, Zoro finally intervened and saved Tashigi from getting killed and actually cut Monet in half. Like, such a shocking, amazing scene. That's like one of the best moments. It's just, it's pure savage the way he did it. Like, even though he didn't use armament haki, he didn't infuse armament haki when he did that. He really could have killed her if he had used haki, but he didn't. So Monet was still able to reform herself, at least eventually. But like, it was just like she found it hard. She found it a bit hard to reform herself because she was so terrified. It was like as if Zoro basically instilled fear in her, and that kind of like made Monet very shaky and quite scared of what Zoro can do, because Monet completely underestimated Zoro into like being the type of guy to not hit a woman when actually he has absolutely no problem. He doesn't see gender. He's not like Sanji who sees gender when fighting, but Zoro, he gives no crap. If you are going to try to kill him, he'll try to like cut you up, you know? And that's what he did. But Tashigi was like, you could have used haki to kill her, to actually kill her. So yeah, so she just basically, she didn't actually kill her, but she basically maimed her again. Like I think she kind of like cut her head a bit, not like actually cut it all the way through, but like, yeah, yeah, she basically slashed Monet, and that was the end of the fight. So in a way, great teamwork, but it could have been better with them actually working together. But nonetheless, it was a great fight. I'm just glad we got to see more Tashigi. I really like Tashigi. I'm glad that we got some character development from both Smoker and Tashigi. Like, they're not as bitter as they were before when it came to like their attitudes towards pirates, their attitudes towards straight up pirates, because they now realize that things aren't as black and white as they seem, especially with Tashigi. She even bowed to Nami, basically asking that she be the one to take the children home. So because she, like right at the beginning, like right way like back in the East Blue slash Alabaster arcs, she had a very black and white type of view where all pirates are bad, all pirates are scum type of attitude, and the Marines are like extremely good people. But then like when finding out that Vergo is a traitor, and that, you know, straight pirates actually do have noble goals. They also wanted to rescue the children, and they were against Caesar. So yeah, like the dynamics have changed in this arc. Not everything's as black and white anymore. So that's what I really like about this arc as well. Another great fight is Luffy versus Caesar. And that one, to be honest, I would have liked a better finisher move from Luffy, because the way he finished off Caesar was like a really extended type of full force punch. He called it the Grizzly Magnum. And I mean, I'm glad he wrecked Caesar and broke his nose as well. But because I absolutely hate him, I absolutely despise this guy. And I feel like he's even worse than Hody. And because like Luffy beated the shit out of Hody, I kind of like expected the same for Caesar. Like he's just as bad, if not even worse, than Hody in terms of how evil a villain is. Caesar has just done so much bad things. Like he destroyed a beautiful island which had like animals in it as well. And then like just for the sake of science, he was so like addicted to like creating these ultimate weapons, Shinokuni, and making the SAD, and drugging the children. It was absolutely despicable the way he was just like tricking everyone, his own soldiers. Like he had absolutely no care for his own soldiers. That's how evil this guy is. That's another thing as well. The yellow suited soldiers that were basically absolutely sheep. Fuck's sake, I got so frustrated with those guys. Those guys were so dumb. Like, a lot of shit was going on, and they suspected nothing that Caesar was actually the culprit to the gas, the poisonous gas that was enveloping the whole island. They just had no inkling, no idea, no hint that maybe Caesar is not as good as they thought he was. Like, I understand that Caesar's a very good actor and he seems like a noble guy and he did a lot for them and that's why they're so loyal to him. But I swear to God, like, those guys are dumb as fuck though. Anyway, yeah, that just, it was just like an irritating thing with those guys. They were just gullible as fuck. Yeah, so there were like a lot of amazing fight scenes. I just expected Luffy to wreck Caesar even more. I don't know how. Maybe just like a more powerful move. I know that Grizzly Magnum is a new move. Like he managed to extend his arms, but it seemed a bit similar to stuff he's done previously. I don't know. It is what it is though. So I'm just glad that he did. He did beat the shit out of Caesar. I guess it's cause I hate him so much that I wouldn't like something even worse to be done to him. He was just a fucking scumbag, honestly. So yeah, so they captured Caesar. Law, he wanted to ally with Luffy and them because he wants to kill one of the four emperors, that being Kaido. Law is just full of shock, honestly. Like, this guy is just so smart. He is so smart, so badass. The way he blackmailed Doflamingo at the end. He cut up Vergo, showing that you can't just underestimate Law. And Doflamingo completely underestimated not only Law, but also Destroyer Pirates. The fact that he thought that Caesar and them would be capable enough to take out Destroyer Pirates and Vergo taking out Law and Smoker. Like, he really hyped up Vergo's powerful haki. And yeah, Vergo's haki is powerful, but like, Law still cut him. And I was a little bit confused as to how he was able to do that. Some of you guys commented saying that Law is just that powerful and he infused, and some of you guys also said that he infused haki into his own sword and that's how he was able to do that. I'm a little bit confused still though, because some of you guys were saying different things. Like, one of you guys was like saying like it's just his ability, his room ability, that is able to make him cut up people's body parts, and that's why he was able to cut up Vergo in half. But because Vergo enveloped, completely infused his whole body with armament haki, I thought it would be different though. So the only way I see is that Law also used armament haki to cut him up. Please clarify on this. I'm still a little bit confused about this, but I think Law also infused haki. Otherwise, like, what's the point on using haki if it's not going to do you any good, if you get me? Especially if they're hyping you up as being like an extremely powerful haki user. How do you get cut up so easily then? that's why I was like confused. So yeah, if you want to clarify in the comment section about that, please feel free. Or and clarifying anything else that I might be saying in this review. Also, so yeah, like we got to see the children going home. The G5 Marines with the Shigi were taking them home. Nami, when it comes to Nami, she might not be my favorite Straw Hat Pirate, but I really liked how nurturing she was towards the children. That really touched my heart, how much she cared about the kids. Like, and yeah, she really cared about the kids. I mean, everyone did, but like she was the one that called the shot that they needed to rescue the children. She didn't like the idea that they were being trapped in this biscuit room. Especially when they were like begging her to like take them with her. So I'm really glad that Nami was proactive in trying to like protect the children from seizing them. And everyone else obviously being proactive in trying to protect the children. And then like Law just, oh man, Law blackmailing Doflamingo. So the blackmail he made was that that he would tell Kaido that he can't produce SAT anymore, the man-made devil fruit, if he does not resign as a warlord. So he needed to resign as a warlord. Doflamingo did that upon Law's request, so that he doesn't tell Kaido that he can't produce any more of the man-made devil fruits, because Doflamingo is like it's like a business partner to Kaido. Kaido is basically making a whole army of man-made devil fruit users. So that is a very, like, the fact that not only was it revealed that Kaido is like the strongest man in the world, I think was said once. Not only that, but the fact that he's producing a whole army of devil fruit users, and then like Luffy being so carefree and saying that, oh yeah, let's defeat one of the emperors as long as it's not Shanks. Like he's already got beef with Big Mom, and now he wants to create beef with Kaido. I mean, with Law as well, but like it's quite baffling. Like he still has a long way to go. Like, yeah, Luffy is pretty strong, but he still has a long way to go in improving and mastering his haki. So yeah, that's very worrying actually. But it makes things a lot more interesting in figuring out what is going to happen in future arcs and how his beef with Kaido is going to go. Yeah, this Kaido guy sounds really scary, because he's apparently he's like an animal or something. He's not one to negotiate with, so he's quite a ferocious beast. So, like I said, I loved how badass Law was, the way he not only cut up Vergo and blackmailed Doflamingo, he cut up the whole mountain and cut up the SAD factory. Like, he was a man on a mission. Yeah, just absolutely brilliant, very smart, very tactical. And he actually, at one point, like when the Straw Hat Pirates and Law, when they were all imprisoned in that prison thing with the sea stone handcuffs, Law, throughout all that time, Law did not have the sea stone handcuff, and he was able to free everyone from getting killed by Caesar. Like, this guy is just so smart. It blows me away every time he does something so smart. So that's like another reason why it's just like one of the best characters in One Piece, in my opinion. So I think I've pretty much talked about like the main stuff that's happened. I'm gonna get on to the actual criticisms now. So firstly, the beginning of the arc was pretty slow. I wasn't sure where it was gonna go. But like I knew that Caesar was dodgy, but like I didn't know where it was gonna go. The arc, and then when Law switched Smoker's body with Tashigi's, Sanji's body with Nami's, and basically a lot of the other characters' bodies being switched and stuff. Like, at first it was funny, but then it got really inappropriate and annoying, and actually, as a female, it particularly annoyed me. So let me just, firstly, Smoker switching bodies with Tashigi. This really annoyed me because Tashigi, as we know, is a very modest character. She's not like a fan service type of character like Nami is. And I'll get onto Nami in a bit, but like Tashigi, she's modest the way she dressed. She in this arc she wore like this floral, pinky purpley shirt and capri pants and this long pink coat. Like, her outfit was brilliant, but then it got really inappropriate, and I was just disgusted the way that Smoker, who was in Tashigi's body, the way he just opened up her shirt, revealing her now big breasts. It's really inappropriate, and I just found it really distasteful to do that to your own assistant. There should be a level of respect and some boundaries. When it comes to fan service, as you guys know, I'm not into fan service, but if you're going to include fan service, at least be respectful about it. I don't know how you can be respectful about it, but like, it was just disgusting that you're not even owning this girl's body, and you are basically exposing a private part of her body to all the other G5 Marines and basically to the whole public. And I just, because Tashigi herself, she's not someone who's like show-offy when it comes to her body, you know. She's modest compared to Nami, so to do that to her was just disgusting in my opinion, and Smoker should know better. I like Smoker, I don't have a problem with Smoker, I actually find him badass and I respect him as a Marine, but to do that to your own sister is disgusting in my opinion. So it's just like, it's like saying like, if someone like switched bodies with you, would you want them to expose you? Like, try to think of it in that way. I wouldn't want someone exposing my body to everyone. I'd fucking slap the shit out of them. I'd be very angry. And I would have wanted Tashigi to have more of a reaction and speak up against her own boss. Like, I don't care if Samoka is a boss. If someone's gonna expose your body like that, you gotta speak up and say, that's not right, you don't do that to me like that. That's not nice to do. Like, you could create a lot of perverts who might even chase after Tashigi, you know? Like, G5 Marines were like looking at her in a different way, I'm just saying. But like, yeah, I just thought that was really, that's just so distasteful. And like, she's not even the type of character that was made to be fan servicey, so to have her to have a fan service based scene, it was just disgusting. I didn't like the way that she was made to be fan servicey as well. We've already got Nami for that, so why the fuck are you making Tashigi a fan service, or giving her fan service too? Like, not like that either. Like, that was just, I just find that wrong to do. You don't own their body. And yeah, like, I don't mind the idea of like someone being tempted to look privately, but to publicly expose someone's body like that against their own will. Like, it's not like Tashigi gave Smoker her permission to do that sort of thing. It's not like Tashigi does that herself. With Nami, it's a little bit different, but I was still annoyed. So firstly, I didn't like Nami's outfit in this arc. It's just, it baffles me with this girl. It's like she doesn't know how to dress. Okay, so before you start attacking me, let me just clarify. Nami, whatever, I'm gonna exclude the fact that she's the main fan service of One Piece, but what I'm trying to say is that if you're gonna buy so much clothes, and we have seen scenes in the past where she bought a lot of clothes from shopping centers and stuff, she bought a lot of clothes from Papag's, it's Papag, right? You know Papag the starfish? He has his own clothing brand. She bought a lot of clothes from him. why aren't you wearing it? Why aren't you wearing any of the stuff that you buy, basically, instead of wearing a bikini top and a pair of jeans? Like, she's basically copying, it's pretty much the same as what she wore in Fishman Island. And I know that one part of the island was fiery, but she was actually in the snowy part of the island when she came in. I know that she wore a long coat, but like, it's just like, bruh, like, just can you at least wear a dress or a shirt or something? Like, normal people wear stuff like that, you know? So, and not just that, but like Sanji, like when Sanji, when he switched bodies with Nami, um, it was also quite disrespectful. I can expect Smoker, I can expect Sanji being a pervert because he's always a pervert, and he was very much tempted in like looking at Nami's breast. Okay, whatever. Um, I just find it also a little bit hypocritical from Nami because she publicly exposes herself. She doesn't have any sort of shame when exposing her body. So then like when she tells Sanji to not look, I'm like, yeah, you wouldn't want someone to look at you in that way, but like you already do that anyway, so I don't know. Anyway, it's just those kind of scenes were just like weird to me. It's just inside these female bodies and basically taking advantage of the fact that they were in these female bodies and exposing them publicly. It was even more of a problem I felt with Tashigi because Tashigi is actually a modest character, because she's not flaunty like Nami is when it comes to her body. So to do that to Tashigi, I was just like, no, that's not acceptable. And Tashigi should have scolded Smoker about that. Don't care if Smoker is her boss. She should have said something about that because that's just not right, and that's not okay behavior in my opinion. Um, and Sanji should know better as well. Like, I don't care how much of a nosebleed you get, you don't take advantage of a woman's body like that if you don't own it. So yeah, that those scenes I did not like at all. Apart from that though, the other criticism is the actual villain for this arc. I said the same thing with Hody. I absolutely hate Caesar. I absolutely hate Hody. I absolutely hate Caesar. Caesar just came off as Moria 2.0 in my opinion. He just seemed comedic to like he didn't like someone that you don't really take seriously because of the way he looks. But at the same time, like he is powerful and he is very, very cunning, sneaky, extremely scummy, extremely evil, extremely despicable, extremely psycho. And it just, I despised him. I really just did not like this guy. And I prefer my villains to be more like in the grey area. I do like Doflamingo though. I love Doflamingo as a villain, and I'm glad that he's gonna be shown more in the Dressrosa arc. I feel like he will be the main villain for the Dressrosa arc. He only makes sense. With Doflamingo, he just seems like he's a psychopath as well, and he's very evil as well. But the difference between Caesar and Doflamingo is that Doflamingo doesn't look like he doesn't. I don't want to sound. I don't want to sound like I'm judging a character by the way he looks, but like, even though that's what I am doing, but like, what I'm trying to say is that you actually take Doflamingo seriously by the way he looks, but he also just has this boss-like feel about him. When you look at Caesar, you don't really see him as a boss, but with Doflamingo, you're like, damn, you really shouldn't mess with Doflamingo. This guy scares me. I don't give a shit about Caesar. Doflamingo, there's something about that guy that just really like I wouldn't want to mess with him. Like he's psycho. He's literally a psycho. He's literally a joker. Like the way he was like saying that, oh, bring back Law's head or something. Like he wanted a picture of Law's dead body or something because he wanted Vergo to kill him, and kill him mercilessly, because Law crossed him basically. So like, yeah, like Doflamingo is just like he's a lot cooler to look at, not just to look at, but just the way he acts as well. He acts composed. He acts like smiley. Like he always smiles. He has that really like big smile, big Joker smile. But on, but in inside him, he's so chaotic. It seems like the way he just tried to kill all those G5 Marines and almost killed Smoker as well. Like he proper bloodied up Smoker, and in my opinion, I think that was like the first time we got to see like proper blood being shed. So yeah, you don't mess with Doflamingo. And I really like Doflamingo, but like Caesar is just like, it's just an absolute fucking twat. I don't like him. Don't like him at all. I didn't like Hody either. They're just absolute scumbags. Just evil for the sake of being evil. I think that's pretty much it for criticisms. When it comes to like the beginning of the art, it was like, it was basically setting up the scene, and like slowly building things up. Yeah, I expect that for every arc really. Every arc starts off quite slow, but then it builds up to like really shocking revelations, and this arc in particular had a lot of shocking revelations, a lot of shocking intense scenes and intense fight scenes. So yeah, overall this arc was just absolutely brilliant. Marineford is still my favourite arc, so I'll put that as number one. I really liked Punk Hazard. I also really liked Sabaudi and Water 7 / Ennis Lobby as my favourite arcs, not in any particular order. I'm just like thinking. I would probably, yeah, definitely would put Punk Hazard in my top 3, but either Sabaudi or Punk Hazard. I feel like Punk Hazard, there was a lot more shocking things, but then again, Rayleigh was in Sabaudi, and I absolutely love Rayleigh. Anyway, I'm not gonna say like what my order is for favourite arcs, but all I will say is that Marineford still tops as my favourite arc so far. I'm really looking forward to Dressrosa. I've heard that Dressrosa is a very popular arc, a very good arc. So yeah, that's my review. Sorry that it wasn't as analytical or deep as it could have gone. I'm just not that type of person who makes conspiracy theories and stuff, but like, yeah, that's my thoughts. So what did you think of this arc? Let me know in the comment section what you thought of this arc, good and bad points, you name it. Alright, so stay tuned for more.